sometimes you might not be able to get the answers that you need from someone, because if their constant behaviour is to block you at every turn, sometimes for your own peace of mind and your own fun, you have to forgive people without even ever receiving an apology, and to be able to turn around and say, you know what, I'm not going to get what I need from you, so I need to stop beating myself up, stop doing all these things to try and heal this relationship that you might not want to heal. Because for me, if someone wants to do something, they will do it. So if your mum's still making you feel all these things and making you feel these ways, darling, you are amazing. You are amazing and you're beautiful, and I absolutely adore you. You don't need any kind of that negativity in your life. You don't.
Hello.
Hi, Chris. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Chris. Hi, Regan.
Hi, everyone.
This is the first Uncovered, where I've got two guests as well as myself and my co-host Kim Roberts. So welcome everyone to Searching for Truth Uncovered with my co-host Kim. Hello, Kim.
Hello, Donna.
Hello, and Regan, who was in with us just at the back end of last year. Hello, Regan.
Hi, Donna.
Hello, and Chris, who I first got to know, just over about under a year ago, and we interviewed, I think in July, wasn't it, last summer? We did the podcast. So coming up to a year now, Chris.
I know, it was crazy.
So welcome everyone to Searching for Truth Uncovered. I love the fact that you two you haven't met yet, have you, Regan and Chris?
No, we haven't met yet. We are still trying, but with everything, obviously, like I'm still trying to do my driving test, and obviously life gets in the way, but it is on the card. I feel like I've known him forever. It's such a weird thing.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like we've got this little bond, and it's just crazy.
It's mental.
I think it's beautiful. I mean, there is such a big thing in common that you've got there. I mean, one thing really, there's probably more, and I'm sure you're going to get a lot of synergy today, but the sharing of your story, I know for you, Chris, that's been, I mean, I've just seen you go leaps and bounds since I first met you. And we're connected like that on Facebook, so I see that. Regan, not so much seeing you, but knowing from what I am getting from you that it's the same for you as well. Like, where things are moving, would you both agree that things are just 100%. Moving so quickly right now?
100%. Like,
it's so quick. It's not scary because it's quite exciting, really. Like, I'm just so excited all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And I feel like I think everything's kind of just fell into place, like crazily fell into place, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
My head just falls off every time because, like, I can't deal with this right now. Do you know what I mean? My head just falls off.
I'm just going to bring Kim in a little bit here, because I'm going to ask both of you individually to share your journeys here on this episode. But I just want to talk to you, Kim, about this. Like, for me personally, I'm feeling this as well, like leaps and bounds, things are happening, like amazingly good things. But also on the flip side of that, I'm witnessing some real sort of horrific and suffering. And it's like I'm seeing two sides so like clearly. I mean, are you guys seeing that as well? Are you seeing that it's, you actually, your vision is sort of seeing the whole thing more, the good, the bad?
Yeah, I actually seen something on Instagram. I think it was either today or yesterday evening, and it said something like, once you wake up, your eyes are open to more of the horrific things that are happening in the world and more horrific things that are going on. And it really resonated with me in the sense of the fact that in the journey that I've taken, especially in this past year, my eyes are more open to other people suffering and what other people are going through. And I think that comes down to the fact of how settled I am and how much I've overcome my traumas and my struggles to now that I see the world with, it's mad. It's like those rose tinted, I was just about to say testicles. It's not, I meant spectacles.
Just you, Howard.
Those glasses are just like, come on.
I've got that vision. I've got that vision in my head now. Rose-coloured testicles.
Oh, funny.
I do. I know. I do. I hear you. And yeah, we'll share that post if you can. That what you saw on Instagram there.
Yeah. Well, I'll try and find it again, but I'll try and find it and I'll share it, because it just, when I seen it, because obviously there's so much stuff on Instagram and social media, and sometimes you'll see things that just make you go, oh, I get that one. Yeah. Like, I really, like, that one's kind of hit a nerve, like it's really, really resonated. So it was one of those, so if I can find it again, I will do. It'll probably pop someone else, you know what Instagram's like, someone else will reshare it and claim it as their own.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So Kim, what do you make of that? I mean, are you I know you're feeling the energies like crazy right now, and you do generally anyway, but you know, is there something in that it's like, you know, things are feeling so good, but yeah, I'm seeing so much really not so good stuff at the same time, but I am, the good thing is, and I hope we're all feeling that, I'm feeling extremely positive. So even though I'm aware that all this awful stuff is happening, I'm seeing it more than ever, I feel like I'm aligned with the good, like the moving away from that. And that's what's given me faith, because I'm like, well, all these amazing leaps and bounds wouldn't be happening if we weren't heading for good, right? You know, so that really kind of instills faith in me. But what are your thoughts on that, Kim?
Oh, lots.
I know.
we've got individual journeys, but we're also very much part of a collective whole. We are one soul. And so as we're waking up and we are healing, and you've heard me say this before, as we're healing the collective, all of us. When we heal the collective, we heal Mother Earth, because there is one soul and we're all connected. So what you're describing there about, you know, the good and the bad is the duality, okay? And what we're moving into is removing that duality. And in this awakening time, what's happening is we're seeing, or should we say, as we are healing, things maybe that we have been through, gone through, done to us, we've done it to others, whatever, is mirroring back at us. And in this, it's absolutely wonderful what's happening, because although there's wonderful things that are happening, there's very much a lot of stuff coming up, emotions coming up, stuff to be purged, maybe regrets, a lot of forgiveness, do you know, aches, pains, all sorts of ascension symptoms are happening to us all on a collective level, but very much so on an individual, but each one of us doing the work within us is not just only helping us, because remember, there is no I, there is only we.
Yeah, well, that's a really lovely, thank you, Kim, and that's a lovely link as well to like the work that we do, that we put in. And Chris, when we interviewed, we did our interview, I was just so just amazed and inspired by all the work that you'd been doing even at that point. So I can't wait to talk to you about even more of what you've been doing, because it's so inspiring. But before we do that, because it was the furthest away that Regan was on here last, so I want to talk to you, Regan. And I know you've been giving it some thought about what you were going to sort of just talk a little bit about today. And I loved when you talked about just share the importance of, I think it was like that, forgiveness, because reconciliation. And when I read that, I thought, wow, I mean, that's just so massive. I can really relate to those things being almost like the key to unlocking the wholeness, the freedom, do you know what I mean? Forgiveness, first and foremost of oneself, which is, I feel that, you know, you've really been on a journey on, haven't you, Regan? Like forgiveness, we all are. But then when it comes to others, and reconciling with others. So so I don't know if there's anything you want to say about that, but I was quite touched that that was something that you mentioned.
Yeah, obviously. So the journey that I've been on, especially in the past, say, 4 years, obviously I've spoken before about once I moved from where I was living, and then it was like I felt free, and like all these things happened. And yes, I did go through a time where I completely shut everybody out, and I kind of needed to discover who I was and really like work on myself without having these distractions around me. And it wasn't something that I'm going to sit here and say purposely happened, because it didn't. Life doesn't work that way. So these are things that obviously happened, and it started with like a snowball effect. And then obviously I had, this time last year, I was just about to be admitted into hospital, into a psych ward. And then when I think back to where I was this time last year to where I am now, it's like I'm looking at a different life, and I'm looking at a different person. And I've also spoken before about obviously broken relationships and my trauma and what I went through as a child. And with Kim's help, obviously, with anything that kind of goes on in my life that I need a little bit of help with, Kim's my first point of call. Like, she's the first person I'm going to go to, because I also feel like Kim knows me now and I've only ever met Kim the once, and then once we had a session over Zoom, and then obviously through our conversations that we've had, and then obviously we've texted and things like that. So I haven't really spent a lot of time with her, but Kim's one of those people that I genuinely think she just gets me. She's seen the work that I've done. She's seen the person that I was when I walked into her office, and I was a blubbing mess, and I was just like a broken shell. So with that in mind, obviously after doing all the work that I've done, and then obviously speaking to you, and then it was over the New Year period, I had actually bumped into one of my dad's good friends. And we obviously had a conversation, but these are little things that were niggling me anyway. Like, I need to make amends with this relationship, because as I've said before, my dad's the only constant figure that I've ever had in my life. And to be able to forgive and reconcile with someone, you need to kind of put yourself in their shoes and look at kind of what they've been through. It was also, we had these conversations over the Christmas period. Then I got my care files back in the January, and I read them. So then that also gave me an insight into what it must have been like dealing with me as a child. Like, I know as an adult, I'm a lot, and I will hold my hands up and say I am a lot. But when I was a kid, I had at the time, my autism wasn't diagnosed, my ADHD wasn't diagnosed. And then I'm also being handed to a man who has parental, who has had like a parental figure over my siblings or over siblings that I have, but has never himself had any kind of love or support or family network to kind of hone in on them skills, to give a child who's already gone through so much trauma the support that they then need. Obviously, then in turn, my dad's discipline style was also very, very 90s. However, to be able to forgive my dad, I had to put myself in his shoes and kind of look at what that would be, especially with all the work I've done, but look at what that would be like for if I hadn't have done that work, and how I would then respond, but also look at it in the way that I've responded to people in the past, to children in the past, to other situations that have happened. And so it was a really, really big thing. Well, it is a massive thing for me to have a relationship with my dad. He's the only, well, not the only person I love in the world, but he's the only consistent person in the world that I love. He's the only parent I've ever had. He's had to do both jobs. It wasn't easy. And when I started looking at that, I was able to kind of start seeing things differently. However, that doesn't excuse what happened when I was younger, while I was living with him. And I kind of needed to, and it was something that I've actually said to him a couple of times over the years, like, I need you to admit what happened. I need you to have ownership over what happened. And that was something that, because there's been times over the years where these kind of things have happened and I could totally stop speaking to him, but there's always been the underlying issue. And the underlying issue is me feeling hurt, not feeling heard, and not feeling understood. So I kind of put it to him like, let's try and get some counselling. And now counselling is something that my dad's not into. he's never worked for him. He's not into it. However, he knows that works for me. So that was the first prop that I had to give him, the fact that he was willing to go into an environment that doesn't work for him, but he knows works for his child. That's a massive step for someone to be able to do. So that then gave me a lot of reassurance. And so obviously I went to Kim, and the first session was, I'd say a lot of it was me talking and me saying how I feel, and I got a lot of what I needed from my dad. I got the acknowledgement of things that happened, and obviously there were some things that he couldn't turn around and totally agree with me on. However, I understand his reasons for that, and I understand why his stance on that is what it is. But he also told me that he didn't think I was lying about certain things, and that was also what I needed to hear. So that was the first session, and then I kind of left it for a few weeks because I'm like that. I need to just chill and process things in my own time and kind of take everything in. And I've totally gone past that point of, well, I'll do this once, and then I'll rush back in and do it again. I now know that I need to collect all the information, sit with it for a while, like sit with how I feel with it. And then he messaged me and he requested another one, which I was quite shocked about, really.
That's good.
Yeah, which I was, and I said that's exactly what I said to Kim, and I was so over the moon with it, because obviously there were things then that he needed me to acknowledge and me to address, which I did. I wasn't afraid to do that, because there are things that I would have got wrong within my adult life that I wasn't being held accountable for, that I didn't know might have made certain situations worse and things like that. So he then requested that one, and we had the session with Kim, the second session with Kim, and it was, I don't feel like I need another one, and I don't think my dad feels like he needs another one. And it was the Grand National at the weekend, and for the first time in, I'd say, 3 years, because it's always been a big thing in my family, like when the Grand Nationals on, even from me being a little girl, my dad would give me the paper and I'd pick out the horse which I liked. And then obviously when I moved back to Manchester, it's one of those things that I phone him every year, right, Dad, who you doing? Right, tell me, give me some information. And it was actually, oh, look, here she goes. Let me hold it, let me suck it down. It was really nice to be able to phone him on Saturday. And this is the first time I've phoned him since these sessions were going on. So this was like the first time I'd phoned him, and it was so nice. Like, I can't explain how nice it was just to be able to phone him and say, right, Dad, so who have you got? And then talk through them and like go through them with him. And then once the race had finished, to be able to phone him back and say, oh, so one then, how many did you win? And things like that. And it's those little moments that I've missed, like that when the Grand National's been on over the past 3 years, that I've been like, it would get me angry and be like, I really wish I could phone my dad, but I wasn't at that point, and I hadn't done that much healing in myself to be able to forgive and to reconcile. And I feel like now we have a lot more understanding of each other. He has a lot more understanding of me and how my moods work, and if I have enough, and he doesn't fully get the autism side or the ADHD side, but for me, he's wanting to understand. He's wanting to figure out how I work and why my behaviours might be the way they are now, and why my behaviours might have been the way that they were when I was a kid. And I feel like, obviously, it's still very early days, but we did also say that while we was in the session, that next time he's in Manchester, we'll go for a coffee or we'll go and do something. And it's just nice to be able to feel like, obviously we're not completely back to the relationship that we were at, but it's nice to know that our relationship is moving forward, and how much power there is in forgiveness and reconciling with someone. Because I don't feel like, I always feel alone to some extent, because most of my life I have spent alone, and that's kind of conditioned within me. But it's nice to kind of be like, well, I'm not alone again. I've got, like, I'm now on speaking terms. And obviously there are things that my dad would have needed to forgive, and he had questions for. So it was nice to be able to come together in a safe space with Kim, where we could both voice our concerns or our our worries, or like totally talk about the things that had happened and the things that had gone wrong.
I love it. I mean, because what we're talking about here is compassionate understanding. I mean, first and foremost, that's Kim, that's what you provide. That is what I feel is missing for us children when we're children, is compassionate understanding. And what you're describing there on both sides, and what seems to have like allowed you to be lighter, is this compassionate understanding, acknowledgement. And that is all releasing, isn't it? Because like you said, you'd get angry on the Grand National. So what's inside going on? It's just all dark and knotted up inside, you know, by talking about it. Even if you don't agree, it's not knotted up anymore, is it? It's like, it's released a little bit, and that you can hear it coming out of you, Regan. It's like, it's beautiful. It's beautiful for your dad. It's just, and you, it's just lovely. It's lovely. It's a start, isn't it?
Feeling. And that's it. It's a start, and it's a very freeing feeling to know, because I've done all this work, and in a way, I'm kind of like a kid at school, like wanting to run home and show him a picture that I've drew, or like I want him to see how much work I have done. That he's not really going to get that from a 2 hour two 1 hour conversations over Zoom, but I feel like I've worked so hard, and that's because of, and I've said this before, like my dad always told me never run away from your problems because they'll catch up with you. So I feel like I've done all this work on my problems, and the one person I want to be able to share that with is my dad.
Beautiful.
So
beautiful.
It is. I was going to hand over to you now, Kim, because
it's just, we'll give you a chance in a minute, Chris.
Oh no, don't worry. I'm just made up for you, babe. Honestly, I was so yeah.
It's big. It feels.
Oh, you know, honestly, it was really nice to hear that. It really was.
It is.
And it made me think a lot about my mum hearing that.
Yeah.
It
is.
Yeah, I think that's what I need to do.
It's deep and it's big. And what's beautiful to see is that this once child, this abused child emotionally, as well as, you know, on other levels, you know, has grown into this beautiful, beautiful woman. And she's embracing, you know, her womanhood, but equally she's aware of the child inside. You know, there's people that come to me and haven't got a clue what a child inside is, you know, that younger part, but she's nurturing those parts of herself. She's actually finding ways to heal inside by, you know, bringing, I don't know, fulfillment, wholeness, love, all of those beautiful, beautiful things, and reaching out, you know, to dad, and dad reaching back like that. I mean, dad is lovely. Yes.
What do you expect? He brought me up. He did do something right.
and I do feel like, you know, very genuine, but he also has a life story. And, you know, Regan's, you know, right, what she said in the beginning about, you know, you've got to put yourself in other people's shoes. But I mean, when you're suffering, you don't see it like that. But when you come out on, you know, or you're coming through rather, you know, you can start then affecting, and this is where the generational things come in, because it can stop with you, but healing, extending into families, can begin with you. So it's just a wonderful, I'm so proud of you, Regan, I really am. And I just want to say in this session with Donna, that I've had a few people who have contacted me after watching your video specifically. So I just want you to know that you are reaching people out there. So it's really lovely to have a follow-up like this. It really is.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Well, that's why
to hear that. Sorry, Regan, carry on.
That's why obviously I'd done it, like, and I said that in the very first podcast with Donna, if I could help one person. And I personally know people who have seen my video and they've contacted me to go and seek him, and it's changed their lives. And that's why I spoke out. That's why I do speak out. That's why I don't keep things in, because I think everyone has a story, but I know that my story is traumatic, and I know that a lot of what I went through is horrific, and a lot of people don't experience abuse on the type of levels that I experienced it. And I think for me, I've always wanted to be a beacon of, if I can be okay, and I'm not saying that I'm okay all the time, because because I'm not, but if I can be okay and I can do the work and I can come out of it the other side, and obviously I still feel like I've got work to do. I feel like we'll all always have work to do. But if I can do that, then anyone can do it. Like there's no excuse for people not to kind of dig deep and kind of free themselves, because like when you're carrying all this stuff around, the only person that it's affecting is you. It's not affecting anybody else. Joe Blogs down the road don't care. Your auntie Jane, she doesn't care. These people don't care. That person don't care. Nobody cares what's going on inside you and what happens when you close your door. So you have to put that work in to be able to, when you close your door, or even when you spend time on your own, you can just go, I am happy with who I am. I am happy with the work that I've done. And no one can never take that away from you. It's better than any money, any kind of prize, anything that you can get is healing yourself from the outside in. Because it's, like I said before, it's where I was this time last year, from just about being admitted into hospital, still in that very toxic relationship, to now, it's like, it doesn't even feel like it was a year ago. It doesn't feel like I've done so much in such a short space of time to feel like the person that I always felt inside, but I always used to like stuff it down. Like I didn't want people to see this side of me. Like I felt like it was a weakness, and actually not. This side of me is my biggest power, and it's my biggest strength.
And now it can't wait to get out. So now there's no time to waste. It's coming out. And I think that's the speed of it. I think it does align with sharing your story, because I think those that have done this, and it is a courageous thing. I remember when I first did a talk, it is very courageous, but once you've done that, you've kind of released it to look at it yourself. It's like it can be for some people, the first port of call of looking and that healing journey. And with what you said there, Regan, you do get deeper, but actually it gets more wonderful, I think, in a way as well. And I think that might be the polarity of it, what we were talking about earlier, you know, the real, like, really amazing stuff, but then you're still aware of this. But that's I wouldn't stop going deeper now. I wouldn't stop and go back. I don't think you can go back without stopping in time, but I wouldn't, because it actually gets more wonderful, the gifts I find. And what you've expressed there are real gifts in going deeper. Just keep going deeper. There's some lovely gifts that you find of your own that you just want to use to share with others. Because I think we all know now here, all four of us, that well, I think I do, and I think I speak for all of you, I now don't feel that all of that, what happened with me, was just for me. It wasn't just for me to deal with, it was for others. It was for me to learn from these experiences and then offer them as gifts to others. And you know, so that and I think that's why the journey gets more wonderful, because you know that the gifts are really going to help others. So thank you, Regan, for sharing all that with us. So how did that sort of, you said when Regan was talking, you mentioned that it's got you thinking a bit about your relationship with your mom.
Yeah, because I spoke to her recently. It was I kind of out of the blue, because I rang my nan, she was there, and then she said that she was proud of me, congratulations, and she's just really proud of how amazing I'm doing, really. And then I kind of froze, but obviously I said thank you, and we kind of spoke a bit, and then I haven't thought of her again until obviously Regan was talking about her father and stuff. But you know what, I think that, because I still haven't forgiven her at all, but haven't had the chance to communicate with her, because every time I've planned to do stuff with her and to go and speak in like a nice public place, so in an environment where nothing can get too hostile, and she just, every time she just blocks me and just avoids it, and it just it's like a repeated cycle with it. So every time I do get the courage to build up, and it takes me months and months to mentally prepare myself, because I get so many pains in my chest when I think about my mum. That when I do today, she just lets me down, and it just takes me straight back to that kid again. So, yeah, it's a very very hard thing to try and get her to do. But I'd love to be able to have a conversation and be able to figure out. Not that I don't think I'd want in my life, but it just so I can kind of release it all, really.
Yeah, and I think
I don't ever get that chance.
I think what's important to remember is that you know, we have got time, you know, time to work on ourselves, and for forgiving ourselves and then others.
Definitely.
It's not something, and when, I don't know about, I'm sure Kim will agree with me on this, you go with what feels right at the time. And if there's all of this energy that's not feeling right, because you know you're on a mission for feeling good right now, so you're very aware when it's not. So, you know, this is the time for you.
I've obviously seen other things that Chris has done, and I've heard him speak about his mum before, and then obviously hearing him then speaking about like how he gets these anxiety feelings and these pains in his chest, and how his mum will let him down. Sometimes you can't, and I know this from my own birth mother, so this is where I'm speaking from. I'm not talking from my dad. Sometimes you might not be able to get the answers that you need from someone, because if their constant behavior is to block you at every turn, sometimes for your own peace of mind and your own good, you have to forgive people without even ever receiving an apology, and to be able to turn around and say, you know what, I'm not going to get what I need from you, so I need to stop beating myself up, stop doing all these things to try and heal this relationship that you might not want to heal. Because for me, if someone wants to do something, they will do it. So if your mum's still making you feel all these things and making you feel these ways, darling, you are amazing. You are amazing, and you're beautiful, and I absolutely adore you. You don't need any kind of that negativity in your life. You don't.
That I know now, like, she's never be a part of my life ever again, because since I've talked about the situation about 3 years ago, obviously I've had rocky roads and whatnot, but my life's blossomed, and it's just gone from strength to strength to strength to strength. Do you know what I mean? So I know that, and I don't miss her. Do you know what I mean? But I just would love to be able to have that one conversation just to get it all else on the table. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. We talked a bit, didn't we, Chris, when we had a few sessions about writing, you know, that writing that letter. We talked about that, didn't we? And you said you felt like you weren't quite ready.
Yeah, I've done some of it.
Have you?
But I haven't gone back to it since. Yeah, I think I've got to be really ready to dig deep when I want to write it. But yeah, I've written quite a lot, to be fair. It was given on for ages, but I mean, it needs to come out. But yeah, I'm definitely I'm still doing that.
You know what, guys, we can do this again, and we can do a going deep session or something, because I've got a feeling that we could all just talk for England here, because when you're talking, there's so many things that's going on in my life that I could just like go, oh yeah, I can relate to this and this, and it's the depth of everything, it's the pain, but yet the amazing feeling at the same time.
I think, you know, it's really important to, you know, sort of maybe acknowledge, I know we're not in therapy when we're on these shows as such, but sometimes I can find myself wanting to, and I hold myself back because I realise we're actually not in therapy. But it's, you know, maybe we could have a session whereby something like what mirrors back to us. So being blocked, for example, is mirroring back at you, you know, and it's about what do you do with that, because it's painful and it hurts. You know, how do you heal from being blocked, because it's the same as being ignored, and it is emotional trauma as well. But then sometimes when we look, what I would encourage people to do is sometimes look at what mirrors back at us. Maybe sometimes we do that when we isolate ourselves and we take ourselves away from other people. It's the same sort of thing. But there is this thing about acknowledging, and when you acknowledge it, and then you can forgive it, and then you can release it. then you can let it go. So, you know, it's almost like a 4-step process that you do. But what you do with what's happening to you, yeah. So, for example, Mum, I acknowledge that you block me, that you might not want to know me. I forgive you for that, and whatever comes natural. I'm releasing myself from you, and I'll let it go, you see. And when you do that, then you've also got to do it for when you've done those things too. And it's a twofold thing, and it really, really does work. Yeah, I just to give you something there, Chris, too. You know, what do I do with that? What, you know, Regan, what do we do with that? Donna, what do we do with coming up in our pace? You know what I mean? What do we do with it? You know, the world wants to know where we're talking about healing, we're talking about this, but practically, what do you do?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And you know, that's what I'm realizing more and more. And if we, you know, go on, Donna, to carry on doing these shows, it would be nice to give people something that
Really
they can practically go away and do.
Yeah, well, definitely. I mean, what we've hit on a bit here is really like with me at the moment, which is that there's the connection or attachment with your birth mother, and with you brought that back in, Regan, to support Chris. And like for me, there's so much there that I'm learning, again, and it's deep, you know, and we'd be here all day start going on about it.
We would.
So Chris, when you were with us last, you were telling us about university and that you were hoping to get into university. I think that was the stage that you were at. So can you give us, should we start off there? Because I kept seeing all these notifications from you on Facebook. So it went pretty well for you, didn't it?
So obviously I started in September last year doing my psychology and mental health course. I just didn't believe in myself at all. I was really struggling, to be honest, and I was happy with just getting a pass, and that's what all I thought was worth it off, do you know what I mean? And then I got my first couple of assignments, and I struggled and I got merit, and I was like, right, hey, okay, I'm not getting the pass, I'm getting the merit. And then as time on, I've really I put most of my own life into my assignments, if that sense, because it was all majority of it is all trauma related.
Hold on, because you were breaking up a bit there. But let me just say, this is what I'm gauging from what you're saying, and it's massive at the moment, that a lot of people who are should be and are, including yourself, excelling, are those that have actually got experience in what it is that you're learning. Right, that's kind of what you're, is that right, you're finding, shocking yourself with the fact that you know all this stuff, right?
Again, it hurt, make me head hurt, so I just want to say I can't cope with this, because I think because I doubt myself so much. Well, I don't really know more, like I know I can smash this now, like I know I've got it in the bag and I know what I'm doing now, I'm really confident now. But then I was just panicking so much, not thinking I'm doing it right, and I think I got my first distinction on psychological trauma, and
well done.
The feedback.
Wow, well
the
done.
feedback was unbelievable. Like I was so proud of myself. She was like, "You really love that." I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Because I was writing about me," and I just read all. You know what I mean? But obviously, I can't obviously got my citations from places, but majority of the things that I put down there was how it impacted me. Do you know what I mean? And you were like, you went into so much detail. I was like, because I know trauma love, isn't it? I was like, that's me go-to. I love it. So yeah, and I've just excelled in every single one. I'm predicted a overall distinction grade, which I just can't even deal with it. I've already got my place in uni. I've met the criteria already, so I'm going to uni to do child and adolescent mental health in September.
Wow.
So yeah,
congratulations.
Congratulations.
I'm just honestly, I'm buzzing with myself, to be fair. Like, and I'm made up because all me. Honestly, and I think more so because, like, when I was growing up, I was always told I was going to be that nobody. You know what I mean? I wasn't going to make it in life. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm made up. Like, I'm the first one out of my mother's kids to go to university. Do you know what I mean? And I was the craziest one out of us all. Do you know what I mean? But still am in a way. Like, but yeah, I'm just so proud of myself, and I'm just dead happy at the moment. Like, I'm honestly so happy.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to really become comfortable in my own skin as well, which is really nice. Yeah, and obviously I started that EMDR therapy a couple of weeks ago, which is that again is just really
So tell
changed a lot of things in life.
tell us about that, Chris, because when you were telling me about that when we had a bit of an update a couple of weeks ago, so it's EMDR, is that right? Have I said it right? EMDR, yeah.
Yeah, it's
And all I'd
eye
heard is
movement
it's the eye. So and it's
yeah,
fascinating
so
what you told me.
yeah, so we basically reprocess our old memories that cause, severe distress to us. And I just assumed it was just going to be some sort of talking therapy, and I just followed the fingers and whatnot. But when I got in the room, obviously we were talking. First, it was over the phone, and the first reprocess was in face to face. And we basically sat there, we had a little conversation. She's like, right, we're going to break it down into like a story. So she's like, you need to give it a header sort of thing. So my first one, I called it the lost boy. It was the first time that my first memory of being sexually abused by my dad's friends. So when we were reprocessing that, we started talking about it, and then because I think she could see the impact it was having on me straight away. I just lit my whole body just went to this little kid again immediately. So she was asking, like, from a scale from like 0 to 10 how distressing it is, and we'll work on reducing that over the time sort of thing. And then she was like, well, how do you feel? And I was like, well, just to feel like I'm worthy, like I'm not worthy of love, I'm not worthy of anything. I was like, I just feel empty really. She was like, right. She was like, so what we're going to do, once we've reprocessed it, we're going to do some affirmations that I am worthy and that I am loved. And as obviously then we began to, all I had to do was just follow her fingers, and she was like, just be aware of the sensations in your body, of how you're feeling, where the pain is and stuff like that. So we would do that for like 30 seconds, and then we would take a deep breath, calm, and then she would ask me, and I was like, it was so weird because I was getting chronic pain in my knees, in my hips, in my ribs, in my chest. I couldn't breathe at one point. The first reprocessing, I got lodged in my throat. It was like there was like a ball stuck, and all I was doing was just trying to get this big ball that come up from my gut straight out my mouth. That's all I wanted to do, but I couldn't get out. So eventually it went and it eased off. And then we started after that after we reprocessed it. Sorry, the bloody words are terrible. It's on my tongue. And then once we done that, we started beginning like the affirmations. But as we were doing that, she was going like diagonal with her fingers, and it was so weird because after the first lot, I could feel myself getting happy, inside.
Wow.
And it was like, wow, this is really strange. Yeah, it was so strange. And then by the end of it, as I was saying it, I was just smiling. It was so surreal. But I the first time I had that done, it did wipe it out of me. Like, I was physically exhausted for about a week and a half. But mentally, it was so clear. Like, my mind has been the most clearest it's been the past month since reprocessing these memories. Yeah, it's been really, really crazy. I don't
Chris,
want
sorry, can I just say, when you told me that about how your head was clear, but your body was, that for me, and I don't know, it's just my thoughts on this, was, it seems to me as though it really shifted the trauma from within your body. Like, it was,
I felt that go.
Carry it here. And when we spoke as well, you said you felt like a restriction in your chest. So it almost feels as though whatever was going on, and I don't know enough about it as of yet, but it was bringing this out. It seems like you'd let go of a lot just from that first session.
Yeah, it was really crazy. Like, especially coming like days after it, like I could feel like the relaxation in my shoulders. I wasn't getting no pains in my knees. I wasn't getting as many chest pains that I have because I did suffer really, really bad with them. They've eased off quite a lot. But yeah, it was crazy because I was so happy, but I'm so tired, and everyone was worried about me. I was like, I'm absolutely fine. I'm just exhausted. I was like, you know, I've just had like
Really
16
happy.
years worth of trauma and wished out of me body. Do you know? So yeah,
Wow.
but and then the second time was really good. To be honest, the last time was really, really good because we focused on my suicidal thoughts, which I've always had all my life, which I didn't obviously understand why until I got my records. And we would focus on the memories when I tried to take my own life when I was 9, when I tried to hang myself. So we went back to that, and that was really, really, really strange because when we were reprocessing it, I felt empty, like I had no emotion inside of me, and I felt like I felt in December 2020 when I tried to take my own life again when I went to, and that's how I literally felt in that moment. I was like, I don't like this feeling. I was like, but this is how it feels. Like I've got no emotions. Like I'm not sad. It just kind of went from me. And then once we'd finished processing that and sort of the affirmations that I am loved and I am worthy and I am free now, sort of thing. And as soon as we started doing that, and as soon as I said the first words, it was like I was fighting with my face not to smile. I was like, I didn't want to smile, but I couldn't not smile. Like it was like a beam of light had just gone boom and just bombarded my little body. And it just, I went out the room skipping, like I felt so happy, like so alive. And since then, I really haven't had that many suicidal thoughts as of yet. So it's doing something amazing, but it's crazy because I still don't get how it works, how all that just simple techniques like that can shift so much, you know, in such a short space of time as well.
Well, it's inspired me to look into it, and I know Kim as well. So it's just, I love that. I love that. I mean,
I love that too.
Oh, if you can do something like that,
Do you love
in
that?
a few sessions, man, it's like, wow. Yeah, you know, wow. I love
Yeah,
it.
it's crazy. It's crazy, and like even like the friends and stuff, they can see like a change in me. Like there's just something dead different about you. I was like, you know what? I was like, something God was telling you. I was like, whatever it is, you can keep coming.
Well,
Because it.
sorry, didn't
What
mean
was
to cut
that?
you off there, but it's weird because what you're talking about there, and like your friends noticing it and people noticing it, because obviously I had my sessions with Kim when I had the quantum therapy.
Yeah.
And the next day, everyone that I seen was like, "You look different. You look lighter." And I was like, "Yeah, that's because all this shit. That's because it's all gone. It's all just come out of me like I've had an exorcism, and it's just all gone." And what you just
Yeah.
said there as well about like the suicidal thoughts is, it actually, my face kind of like moved a little bit because when I got my care records, I was talking about suicide from being about 4, so from being very, very young. And then it actually made me think, when was the last time I had a suicidal thought? And now for me, from going to from someone who was having about 10 a day to not actually being able to remember the last time that I had one, and then to hear that from you, it's like, yes, we've got this. Like, we are worthy. Like, we're doing all these work. We're having these out of body experiences. People are noticing, and we're finally now starting to see what other people see that we could never see before. And I just think it's beautiful. And I'm so glad that you've had that experience, that you've gone through that. And other people are noticing that, because even I mentioned to you on Instagram, I've said to you a few times, you look different, you look dead happy. And I see that from watching your video that you first done with Donna to now. I even see it. And I've never even met you, but I see it transcends.
It really, really does. It really does. And you know, obviously we know, you know, we've mentioned this before, you know, it's up and down, isn't it? But I think the difference is and I know with you, Chris, because you're aware. It's about observing those ups and downs when they occur, and not, you know, being conscious of it, not pulling us down, because we know that we don't want to go there, and being able to use the tools which we've got. So many tools, and if we haven't, other people we know that we can talk to have to help us pull us back up. And I'm seeing you doing that beautifully, Chris. I'm seeing you inspiring a lot of people with that, with your noticing, your observing of yourself, because everyone watching can see that. They can see as Regan said, the difference. So you really are inspiring and motivating for a lot of people. And I can't wait to have you back on again in like a few months, just to see where you're at, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Are you still repeating the like affirmations? So the work, is it kind of ongoing, the work, you know, the EDMR, are you taking it?
Yeah,
Like,
well, I listen to affirmations every morning when I wake up anyway. Like I have a set routine in the morning. I get up, I have my affirmation on, I do my gratitude every single morning. That is my routine. And throughout the day, I have affirmations on my headphones. I've even got this playlist that's on Spotify. It's like a radio station, and it's just all about positivity, and it's all like spiritual music. And it's honestly, it's one of the best radio stations on Spotify that I've ever heard in my life. It's just amazing. It just lifts me vibe, because I know obviously the music that we listen to, a lot of it is very satanic and demonic music, isn't it? So I know that goes into my subconscious mind, so I know the knock-on effect of it. So I'm trying to like just get rid of all this negativity from me. That's what I do. Try my best anyway, isn't it?
Between both of you, and I don't know whether you realize it or not, but both of you are extremely inspiring, like really inspiring. Just talking and the way you share it, I know it reaches people. So thank you for that. It's really, really lovely to have that. And
well,
you're
Chris
right, Kim.
inspires me. Chris does inspire me, and I say it, and I've said it to him before, like when I see him doing other little things, and I'm like, you inspire me so much. And if he's doing, he was doing something on Instagram the other week, and I was like, right, I'm watching it, let me watch this. Like, I feel like we've got like this little team, and we both kind of like spur each other on, and
yeah,
it does inspire me.
Yeah, well, let's keep that.
You inspire me as well, honestly, you really do. I can't wait for us to meet you now. We're
No,
gonna have such a little ball. Imagine, it's gonna be hilarious, isn't it?
Or if you get arrested, I'm sorry. No, I'm only joking.
No, isn't it?
Oh my goodness, oh my goodness, I must be getting old. You get arrested. Yeah. So Kim, we're gonna finish soon, because I want to hand over to you now. I'm hoping you might have an affirmation for the thing. She might be going to rush to get one now. But I also wanted to just sort of for you to kind of close on that, really, with what's been said.
So the affirmation for today is this. It says, an infinite love and abundance surrounds me. Deep in my heart is gratitude and a pure underlying love. And that pretty much sums up a lot of what we've said today, because we are pure love underneath all the programming, underneath, you know, we are love, and it's love that's coming out. It's love that we're trying to set free. It's love that we're going to be sharing. But the thing is, there is so much love around us, and just watching sort of like seeing how you two sort of connect. Your energies are just like, wow, they're contagious. I mean, on a night out with you, Pam, or we'd be there, right, recording. But deep in our hearts is gratitude, you know, and it's gratitude for the life's lessons, but it's also gratitude in healing. And you know, we only look back at the past for the lessons, so that we can heal it and we can let it go. And it's in the present moment that we live, you know. And I would say, you just mentioning EMDR, I know that it is effective, because I know other practitioners like myself have, you know, they've used that too in their therapies, and they've had great results. I would say the way that works, which is desensitizing, it's a bit like, not exactly Donna like timeline therapy, where you unhook the unhealthy emotions from the memories. But what you were feeling in your body there, Chris, was the suppressed emotions from that event, from that time. But I'm still going to say the most important thing anyone can go through is having their energy field cleared, because that's what stops the patterns.
Yeah.
So I would say, you know, anything and everything, you know, acupuncture, reflexology, you name it, MD, the whole, they're all effective in releasing trauma from the body, suppressed emotions. But I still would say our energy field holds a lot of information, not just like the Akashic records, but things ancestral. And you know, Donna, I always come back to this, so I'm just going to repeat that again. An infinite love and abundance surround me. Deep in my heart is gratitude and a pure, undying love.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
I love it, guys.
I'll get that to come
You're
up.
all
That's a good
amazing.
idea. That'll come up so
Yeah,
people
come
can
up
actually
on that.
read
That's
it.
good, that.
Yeah, that'll be nice. Oh, wow, beautiful. Thank you, Kim, for that. And as always,
Thank
just
you.
your words are just I feel them. I feel you. I feel all of you here. I really do. Even though I am actually 4,000 miles away from you, I really feel the energy here. It's beautiful. So thank you so much, and I can't wait to have you all back on again for another episode. So yeah, thanks Chris, and thanks for getting here as well, because I know you were doing what you were doing. So thank you guys. I'm going to call it an end now.
Thank you. Thanks everyone. Everyone take care. God bless.
All right. I am going to. All right. See you guys.
Bye.
I love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.